Trauma, depression, stress, illness. Is there a flow? I believe there is. What is trauma? Trauma is an overwhelm to the nervous system. It's events in our lives. It's the impact of that in our lives and how our unique physiology has responded to that. A question I often get asked is, well, look, how come 3 children grew up in the same household and one of them has a particular presentation, one of them has this, and the other one seems fine, and the other one has this challenge? Well, the environment was the same. Well, yes, but we've got environment plus propensity and the uniqueness of the individual. And people can find their own coping strategies for an adverse environment. You can put several people into a war zone and they will all behave and respond differently. Interestingly, there's some statistics around PTSD in war soldiers, and what they've found is that soldiers who are most likely to experience post-traumatic stress disorder following periods of service in battle tend to have higher ACE scores and tend to have issues in their early years. They are more likely to respond differently to the stressful environment. Well, that's true of all of us, mercifully not with such atrocities in war, but how we are in our early years will then shape how we tend to respond to other experiences later in life and other traumatic experiences in life. And it's a unique experience. Traumatic events will overwhelm the nervous system's ability to cope. But how the body responds to the trauma will often lead, as I've done in another video, to potentially a failure to process the experience, or the failure to process the emotional elements of the experience. And that could be anxiety, or it could be depression, or it could be any other hypervigilance. It could be people pleasing in our relationships. It could be many, many presentations for experiences in the past. Depression or anxiety, it is a failure to be able to cope with the felt sense and the emotional processing and the neurological experience of an event, leaving us stuck in a bit of a loop and setting up pathways and habits within our nervous system about how we process things. And yes, that can change the neurotransmitter biochemistry for a while. What about depression? What about this? Anything that is not allowing us to process an experience will mean that then, of course, the physiology is going to respond. That could be in our nervous system, and that could manifest as depression. And so if we are in a chronic stress state, we will create inflammatory chemicals, and that might inflame a particular tissue, in my case, around the heart, as it was. In others, that could be Crohn's disease, chronic irritable bowel disease. It could be inflammation of anything. It could be even inflammation of the skin in the form of eczema. How is the body not processing something in the way that it's presenting as these apparently separate illnesses, which to me aren't? Yeah? So what if we go backwards and we go, right, give me the story, tell me your story. And it's amazing what comes out. So always in my experience, the clues are in the history and understanding the person as a whole and the environment and the events which have the traumatic events. Traumatic being an interesting word because people say, oh, I've not had trauma. Everybody in life has trauma, and because we can't get through life without being born is traumatic. Or it can be. There's even evidence I was looking at recently of the correlation between emergency cesarean sections and an increase in nervous system dysregulation. It's not anybody's fault. The baby needed to be born with an emergency cesarean, or else they might have died. So it's good that they're here, and it's good that they had that procedure. I'm not beating anybody up about anything. But these inevitable life events shape us. But the power and the beauty that I feel so passionate about is the ability to kind of go, yes, but that's not like, well, just this is me and accept me the way I am. No, what if we can change it and live a more fulfilled life, live a less pain-filled life, live a more energized life instead of just feeling like I have to learn to cope with chronic fatigue, cope with the stress illness, cope with my Crohn's. What if you could change it and not live on pharmacology for the rest of your life? And actually, there is a high correlation between depression and people with long-term and chronic illness. So to be able to see the relationship, go, what if you could have hope? Well, not only will we deal with the Crohn's disease and the chronic pain that you've got and the fatigue, we'll probably lift the depression too. Yeah, the potential for hope and the potential for change is huge. Hi, I'm Roger. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons.